What's going on, guys? About a week ago, I said this in a video. If I took a photo of like a Starbucks coffee or somebody taking a drink of a Starbucks coffee, and then Starbucks then shared that on their own account with a tagline that said something like, "Amazing photo of Brendan Vanson enjoying a cool frap on a hot summer's day." I don't really care about that. And as a result, I got absolutely raked over the coals by an fStoppers.com article saying that pro photographer says you should just give away your photos to Starbucks. And I was like, did I say that? And I went back and watched the video and I was like, wow, I said that. And obviously at the time, in my argument, which was for a totally different point, I said that. And I can totally understand how it was construed. I guess I'll get to that point. First of all, let me say that I was wrong. You should never give your images away for free. I'm totally cool pointing out the fact that I can be wrong sometimes, and I am wrong sometimes, especially when you go unscripted and just talk to the camera like I do so often. There's so many times that I'm wrong. And for the reason that sometimes I just talk off the cuff, that I'm not scripted, and that I kind of just ramble and rant and I don't really put that much thought into my edits, sometimes I say things that are stupid. And that's just what you're gonna get with me sometimes. The article was great. And some people were giving the writer Andy Day quite a hard time for it. They were like actually attacking him, and maybe not directly to him. I don't know, you'd have to ask Andy. But there was a couple people that were attacking fStoppers.com. You know, giving the classic, "I'm never reading fStoppers.com articles again." They were attacking them. And it's totally unfair. I think the article was fair. I think the article was really well written. I think the arguments in the article were really well established and spot on. The only thing I wish Andy would have reached out to me for comment. When I was in university, I studied political science, but I did quite a bit of journalism as well. And I remember in my journalism ethics class, they kept saying, you can't publish an article about somebody without at least attempting to reach out for comment. If you reach out for comment, you give that person in question the chance to clarify their point, dig in deeper on their point, or maybe retract on their point. And I think if Andy would have reached out, I would have said, "You're right. I was wrong. I was just talking in passing." But it's no big deal. I love the fact that the article created discussion and dialogue, because that's what I love. I think way too often we get into these like arguments and we resort to insults instead of just talking and discussing and establishing ideas. And I think reading that article and thinking about it and really spending time thinking about what I really feel, I've established a different opinion and maybe even a better opinion, and I think that's really valuable. And I think we as human beings in 2019 have gotten really bad at listening and allowing our opinions, whether they be politics or photography rights, to be changed. So, thank you Andy Day for the article. I think it was really well written and really well done. And yes, I was wrong. But I want to talk about this a little bit more, because I think that the discussion is really interesting. Because I think we as photographers haven't drawn a line. We haven't figured out what is that line of clear usage. So when I was talking about Starbucks using my image, I was kind of talking about, like, let's say I go into Starbucks, I take a snapshot on my phone, and then Starbucks uses it on their feed and says, "Thanks for stopping in, Brendan." And that's it. It's almost editorial, although it's obviously commercial anytime used by a brand, but it's this weird line where photographers are like, whatever, it's not like they're trying to promote something. And I think at the time that's kind of where my headspace was at. If I just do something quick, post it, they take it, they share it, whatever, kind of everybody wins situation. It's this unwritten rule on Instagram that if somebody with a big account shares something, somebody with a small account gets something, they get maybe some followers or some exposure, and everybody wins. But I think that I was definitely wrong there. There's construction going on outside, right outside our door here. And yes, I'm in the future, not in Canada in the mountains in the quiet, but in Italy in the construction. I think that anytime somebody uses your image or an image without paying for it, they're diminishing the whole industry of photography. I think that even if it's not a professional photographer's image they're using, they're still devaluing photography as a trade. I believe that any brand uses any image on any sphere, whether it's social media or commercial, they should be paying. And I think that we as photographers have to stand up for that. And the other thing I need to mention is I think it doesn't matter about the size of the company. There was so much into this article and so many comments about this article saying Starbucks is a multi-billion-dollar company. They can afford to pay for photos. But the reality is everybody should be paying for photos. It doesn't matter if they're a small coffee shop or a huge coffee shop. If you can't afford to pay for it, you shouldn't use it. Like if you were a small coffee shop and you couldn't afford coffee beans to sell to people, you wouldn't just steal them. Being a small coffee shop or a small brand doesn't excuse you from using other people's images. So my opinion has not only changed on this matter, it has hardened and it has become borderline revolutionary. No. Rebellious? No. My opinion has become stronger, and I want to use this video and this maybe point of discussion to ask you guys and ask us all to start standing up a little bit more for our own rights, especially on Instagram. I was really thinking about this like yesterday. I'm in the future in Italy where there's construction sounds outside and stuff like that, and here in Italy we were at this conference and I took a picture of Jody on this dry float bed at this conference, and I tagged the company in and posted the photo to my story on Instagram, and the company shared that story to their stories. And it got me thinking, like, where's the line? Because that's okay, at least in my opinion. It's okay to share a story. It's okay to share. As long as it's like directly clickable back to me, I think that's okay. If I posted my same photo of Starbucks coffee to my story and then Starbucks shared it to their story, is that okay? Why is the feed different than the story? And is it the simple act of sharing versus, screenshotting and then replacing onto the feed? Where is that line? And I think that's what's so hard about this. Because I think that the vast majority of you, if I said, okay, you posted your story of your coffee to Starbucks, and then Starbucks shared it to their story, you would probably think that that was fine. So I think there's a grand solution to this, and it's as simple as having a share button on Instagram that you can disable, or if you want, you can leave it enabled. And that way, if you're anybody and you want your photos to be shared, then people can click that share button. And people can share your image. And then at the very least, when they share your stuff onto their account, you get the likes, which don't mean nothing. You get the comments. You get maybe a directly clickable link back to your own page, or maybe even a little follow button for the accounts it reaches that you don't follow. And whoever the share account can still have it in their feed, can still have it in their gallery, and everybody wins. And on top of that, if you're the type of photographer that doesn't want anybody to use your images at all because you think they're benefiting in one way or another, and they are, you can simply disable that share button and nobody can share your work. And on top of that, if then somebody does take your image and shares it onto their feed, they're in direct, obvious violation of the rules, and then you can fill out that copyright form. I think that's the simple solution. I also think Instagram does not care, and this frustrates me, annoys me, and makes me so mad. Instagram obviously loves these huge share accounts. They create massive amounts of engagement. A lot of that engagement is fake. Run through bots and through pods and through comment sharing and stuff like that. And if Instagram got rid of these share accounts and got rid of this type of engagement, the whole platform's numbers would just drop by like 30%, and that does not look good to investors. And of course, this is all at the expense of photographers and of creators who would benefit greatly from a simple share button. And the final I'm getting too excited, I'm losing my voice. And the final point that I want to make is I was beyond wrong in the last video when I was talking about share accounts. Share accounts, for those of you that don't know, are accounts that like take a curation of a bunch of people's work and then organize it into a beautiful feed about photos from Greece or Italy or wherever. A share account, I think, I used to be like, whatever, you have 200 followers, you can use my image with credit, I don't care. But the reality is, so many of these share accounts have gotten so big that they've turned commercial. You look at Beautiful Destinations, who I'm not calling out, they did everything within their rules, and they, in my opinion, did everything according to the rules of Instagram and maybe even the law. They had a small account at some point, and they grew to a multi-million follower account, and they've now, off the backs of everybody else's work, created a commercial property that they're selling to brands, and they're selling to destinations, and they're profiting from. So, though I don't think these share accounts that are doing anything directly commercial aren't doing anything wrong, I think we as photographers especially need to stand up and go, no, you cannot use my image. Not if you have 200 followers, not if you have 500 followers, not if you have 1 million followers. I don't need your exposure, I don't want your exposure, I want to get paid. So my challenge to you, and I'm going to follow this as well, is for the next forever, anytime a share account asks to share your image, say no. Ask for a little bit of money even. But it is like a strike. As soon as 1 or 2 photographers starts crossing that strike line, then everybody will, because everybody will be looking for that exposure boost or whatever. So we all kind of have to stick together. Stand together and be like, yo, no more sharing our work for free. It doesn't matter if it's non-commercial on Instagram. If your goal as a company, as a brand, is sometime in the future you want to make money, no, you can't use my image on your Instagram feed. And that's all I have to say today. I know the rant was kind of all over the place, but I guess the main point of the rant was I'm wrong. I was wrong. I'm open to being wrong. I hope you guys are also open to being wrong at some point in the future. I hope nobody takes what I said today and turns it into a negative article, but that happens sometimes. I want to thank Andy Day and the fStoppers.com crew for bringing this to my attention and the community's attention. I think that it's so good to get these discussions started. I think it's so good because then we as a community can come together, have our own set of norms that we really are entrenched in and we stand strong with. So thank you guys, and thanks for listening. I'll see you guys on Thursday. Peace.